Good morning, McGee News. I am privileged to have with me Greg and Susan Hall. Long time friends of mine, both of them. We went through school together, and I guess I knew Susan. I've known Susan all of her life. She grew up here and Greg came in high school, and they've been sweethearts ever since. But we're talking about and emphasizing the importance of the Relay for Life this weekend. You know, it's going to be Friday night. The ceremonies begin at 6. And I hope that you'll be there. We're talking about Paint the Town Purple this week, really Paint Simpson County Purple. And Greg is one of the honorees for Friday night's Relay for Life. I thought it would be interesting for Greg and Susan to give us a little bit of the history and the things that have gone on since Greg was diagnosed with cancer. There will be questions that I'll be asking, there are things they'll be telling us, and I appreciate your taking time to listen. Okay, tell us from the beginning. When did you know something? How did it start?
Well, I went to my regular intern is Dr. Steele, and he had been doing prostate exam. Had been taking the blood test, the PSA, and the PSA went up about 8 or 9 tenths. So he told me, he says, all a urologist is going to do is give you a round of high-powered antibiotic. He says, I can do that, you won't have to go see that urologist. So he gave me 2 weeks of antibiotic, and he said, when you come back next time, we'll check it again. Well, it went down, and then went right back up to what it was before. And
even with all those antibiotics?
Yeah, and it wasn't high. It was a 3.8, went down to a 3.2, and then went back to a 3.7. And never got, you know, they say the cutoff line is 4.0. If you get to a 4.0, go see a urologist. Dr. Daly checked me, and then we did a biopsy in January, and when it came back cancer. So Dr. Daly did the prostatectomy in March, last day of March.
Right after y'all went to Disney World, wasn't it?
And we, my PSA's been, he says it's perfect, so. But I never didn't bounce back from surgery. Never did quite get right, never did feel right, and I'd keep a cold or a runny nose or something. And I was feeling real bad, so we went to caught up with Mel Ann, and she said, well, let's just do the whole thing. We'll do a chest x-ray and blood work and everything. And when she did the chest x-ray, that's when she saw the spot on my lung. And that's the way it started. She started the ball rolling and had a CT scan one day, and 2 days later I did a PET scan. And
saw a pulmonary specialist.
Saw a pulmonary specialist and had a biopsy done on the spot on my lung. And then that's when the ball got rolling. So after
totally
that,
flipped your world upside down. Susan, did you have any, or were there, I remember when, you know, we were going back for the march and all that, but did you have any outward signs after he had the prostate situation worked out? Were there anything that you saw that made you think there might be another area that was affected or anything like that?
Well, the thing that got my attention was that Greg was just so tired all the time, and I kept telling him, Greg, you don't act like you feel good, you just don't, you're not bouncing back from the prostate surgery and everything. And but then, like you said, in August, after March, he got a really bad cold, and he just couldn't shake the cold. So like you said, we caught up with Mel Ann Scarborough and told Mel Ann exactly how he was feeling, and she said, well, let's, like he said, let's do the whole 9 yards. Let's do the blood work up, see if he's anemic, do the chest x-ray, and then, like he said, it just started from there and just really kind of snowballed, and we have not stopped since. But in the end, it was not actually the prostate that gave us the problem. It turns out that it was melanoma, which resulted from a skin issue that he had in 2008 on the back of his ear.
Well, you know, I don't know, for the ones of you who don't know Greg, he's been very active outside, and I don't imagine you wore much sun protector, if I had to guess, because we didn't. I mean, back, you know, and you worked outside, and then he's very involved with the sports at Simpson, and so you were in the sun all the time. When they removed this, did they find it then that it was... What with melanoma? I hear melanoma all the time because they're always saying, don't get in the standing bed because you're going to get melanoma. Don't get out in the sun because you're going to get melanoma. Or you've got to use, you know, skin things and all. But what do you find with melanoma? How does it spread? I remember that Jimmy Riley had melanoma 20-something years ago and it came back, and I didn't understand that. Where does melanoma, okay, it's here. How does it get here?
Melanoma is blood-borne, and we have learned this since all this has begun. This is kind of a learning process as you go through this. You get very educated.
Yeah, education you didn't want to know.
Whether you want to
didn't want to know any of this.
Right, whether you want to or not, you receive an in-depth education on this. But melanoma is blood-borne, and that's how it travels. And our oncologist said it doesn't take but one cell left over, and that's all it takes. And it may be years before it rears its ugly head, and you know, and that's what has happened here.
So really, the prostate did not cause the lung cancer; it was the melanoma.
It was the melanoma, but I suppose, in a way, that got the ball started there too. You know, because with men, I think it's extremely important, as Greg says, when you reach age 50, to have exams like that, just like a female would do. But for a man, it's extremely important to have prostate. And I think in this process, we've learned it's extremely important to be to take care of your skin as well. Right. You know? And not just men, but women. But in this case, you know, it just happened with Greg, and Greg's went from behind the ear to the lung, and from the lung it traveled to the brain.
My goodness, it moves when it starts going. It moves. It moves. And do you have such a problem with fatigue? Is that one of your biggest?
That's the biggest thing. Is you get tired. Some days I feel great, and some days I wake up and can't get out of the. Well, I can get out of bed and go eat,
But I know what you're saying. Not like your lifestyle. Greg, again, I cannot emphasize how active he was and how involved he was in all phases of activities at Magee and our church and our city and in our schools. I hope you'll make an effort to come Friday night to Relay for Life. Maybe you'll get to see Greg and Susan, and our other honorees will be there, but also it's an opportunity to give back to the community. Thank you so much.